18 minutes past 8 o'clock. Look, divorce is never easy, but now one federal MP is trying to make it tougher for couples to split. Tony Abbott wants the divorce laws changed back to how they were more than 30 years ago.
Now that means a return to the at-fault system. But how does that work and what impact would it have on Australian families? Well, joining us are family lawyer Fiona Reid and psychologist Kimberley O'Brien. Good morning to both of you. Good morning. Fiona, if I can start with you. So we've just said the old system was at fault and then we changed to no fault at all. Has it become too easy, do you think, for couples to divorce?
The actual process of getting a divorce is relatively simple, but I don't think the decision to end your marriage is simple for any couple. Certainly the experience I have is that people who make that decision have really agonised over it because of the impact it will have on their children and their families and their own financial and social circumstances.
Okay, so Fiona, why did we get rid of the old system in the first place that Tony Abbott wants us to go back to?
The old system was all about finding fault, finding blame for the reason that the marriage had broken down, and there were a number of grounds you had to rely on to get your divorce, which included insanity, imprisonment, habitual drunkenness, and then the most common ones, which were adultery, cruelty and desertion. And you had to basically have evidence about those things. So if, for example, you were trying to prove an adultery case, you would need to engage a lawyer and a private investigator and take photos and get witness statements, all of which was evidence to prove your case in court. And you weren't able to end your marriage by agreement or by consent if it just broke down because you weren't getting on anymore. You had to have one of these grounds to rely on.
Wow, so would a return to that make things nastier?
I think it definitely would. For example, if you were in a situation where you had to blame someone or find fault for someone for the end of the marriage, clearly that's going to, in my opinion, increase the level of conflict and antagonism between the separating couples so that their ability to communicate moving forward, particularly in relation to decisions for their children, is going to be much, much more difficult.
Speaking of the children, Kimberley, you run workshops for families who have been divorced, impact on kids.
Yes.
Tell us how tough it is.
Well, I see kids, I've been working with kids for 15 years, and most of the kids we work with, 75% of them are from divorced families. So now at the Quirky Kid Clinic we run these divorces called Doing the Splits, which is actually really helpful for kids that are all in the same situation. So there's groups of 4 kids sitting around a table doing different drawings and trying to talk about how they cope with access arrangements, how they cope when they're the messenger, when parents are not getting on, and also how to cope with things around one parent being blamed for something that might have happened years ago. Talking about how to try and move the families forward. So they're big issues.
Yeah. Now you've got a list of tips here on what parents can do to help their children.
Yeah. So number 1, try to rescue the relationship, because divorce is never the easy option. It's not going to be just over and getting better later on. It's usually a long-term issue. Don't discuss the problems in front of the kids. Go to a cafe, talk about your issues outside of the home so the home feels safe. Be honest about the split. So if it is going to happen, be upfront about it for kids that are over 5, and for kids under 5, just be calm, relaxed and model a really stable environment for the kids. Don't give the kids all the gory details about affairs, whatever. Leave that out. That's a relationship issue, not a kid issue. And be practical about things. So if the kids are going to be picked up from netball by dad or at school, keep it simple, put it on the calendar and make it visual so kids know what to expect.
Do kids blame either parents for a divorce? Are they in the blame game that maybe adults are in?
I think in lots of situations, Koshi, they are blaming parents because they hear a lot of conversations on telephones to different extended family members, and so if they feel that there's a culture of blame in the family, they tend to take that on. So it's really important not to blame anyone and to use mediators where possible and avoid the court system.
So going back to the old system would be bad for kids?
I think so, definitely. Who wants to hear about adultery and desertion, alcoholism? These are the things that kids don't need to know about a parent. They want to hold the parent up there in a nice, positive light.
Wow. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, both of you, for your time. Really appreciate it.
It's okay. Thanks, Mel. Thanks, Koshi. Let
us know what you think. Tony Abbott's put it out there as an idea, so let us know.
He's obviously tried to pitch as a potential leader of the Liberal Party, I suppose, going back to conservative views. Do you agree with it?